Hey guys, Evil Professor is back, and today we're going to be looking at War Machine from the Iron Man 2 movie figure line. This one's from the comic series. So we'll take a quick look at the packaging, and like we tend to do, we'll open the figure up and have a look. So here we've got War Machine. He's got these extra plastic bits, and if we look here for his special gimmick, we have retractable weapons. Or maybe that's something else. But anyways, these little bits I think are going to fit onto his guns up here. But we look a little bit more at the packaging. This is from the comic series, so this is clearly not how he's going to be in the movie. He'll look different somehow. Look at that, number 23. I was talking about this in the Iron Man review. Iron Man was number 3, this one's 23, so there's, you know, like 24 figures from this line if they're all sequential from 1 to this many. So you can see a lot of these floating around. It's a choking hazard, some small parts, so don't let your kids choke on these. And don't put them in your mouth yourself, you might choke on them. Looking at the back, some of the other figures. What do we got here? We've got Iron Man. Now this is from the comic series, so that's, I guess, supposed to be how he looked in the first comic book. There's War Machine, I'm sorry, with the extra bits on his weapons to make them look like they're firing. We've got Stealth Operation Iron Man, because, you know, the big red thing in the middle is stealthy. We've got the Crimson Dynamo. I have to admit, that one's kind of tempting to get. I don't know why, but he just looks kind of cool to me. Then we've got Iron Man, the way he looked, in the 80s, part of the 90s, before they really changed his look. Okay. So we've just got to look at the packaging here. Give me a couple seconds, I will break this figure out, and we will have a look at War Machine. Back at you in a minute. Hey guys, we are back. As promised, we have gotten War Machine out of his packaging, and we're going to have a look at him. We're going to get rid of the stand and that activity card or whatever it is for a second. We'll look at the figure itself. So, in terms of the mold, let's start there. It's very good. Now, this is based on the comic series. It's not going to resemble, well, I don't want to say too closely, but it's not going to be like War Machine from the movie, which comes out, what, soon? I don't know. Look forward to it. At any rate, we see we've got the little sensor on the side of his head, the plate for the face that looks similar to Iron Man, the big shoulders. We've got the weapons here on the back, which we'll have a closer look at in a second. A lot of detail in this one. It's kind of nice. Got the muscles in the leg. In terms of articulation, his head's going to move side to side. Because of the bits here on the shoulders, can't get his head to go all the way around. And though I'm pretty sure it's still on a ball joint. Maybe not. But that's about as far as he goes. It's as far as he can look. He's got the shoulder guards, but they're on hinges so they can move up so that we can move his arms. Again, very tight joints on these figures, which is good. It'll take me a little while to break them, but we can move the arm up, and we can rotate it all the way around. Elbow. Not a lot of bend here, and I think it's because, again, the mold, there's a lot on the arm, the forearm here, so it moves up a little bit. It's going to rotate all the way around, and then his hand is going to rotate all the way around, at the wrist. This one. Oh, a little bit of movement again at the ribs. This one doesn't move too much. See me kind of trying to force it there. Probably going to be a good way to break it. So I don't think I'm going to do that. Moves up and down a little bit. The hips, very similar to the Iron Man figure we looked at in a different review. We can move it up and down a little bit. 2 points, or 2 pieces for the knee. I guess technically a third one too, and then 3 in the middle. So we can have more or less a full bend back there. And again, his ankles move a little bit, but not a whole lot. That's largely because of how far this piece of the mold on his leg comes down. And the same thing with the other arm. The one thing that's nice about him is that he's not symmetrical, which is kind of nice. I guess it's just one of the things about War Machine. He's got the sensor here on the side. I think this is supposed to be mini rockets on his other arm. Very cool. Now, in terms of his gimmicks, he's got flip-up weapons. I think that's what I said he had. And literally, we're just going to pop these forward. Those are his flip-up weapons. Which, you know, War Machine quite often has some kind of minigun or rocket launcher on his shoulder. So that's pretty good, and we can flip those back. The other thing that we were looking at before is that they come with these other little plastic bits. I guess it would be part of his gimmick. And what we can do is we can pop that on here, And we can grab the other piece and we can put it on the other cannon. So that way we can have it look like he's actually firing them. At first I thought, you know, mildly silly, but it's kind of grown on me. I kind of like it. Maybe I've got this upside down. Kind of adds an action effect, I suppose, to the figure. In terms of gimmicks, it doesn't detract from the figure at all either. And since I'm not a gimmick person, that's a very good thing. Now, the other thing he comes with, much like Iron Man, he's got the stand and the peg, and he's got this card. We looked at one of these in the Iron Man review, except my camera can't focus on it. There we go. And again, it's in 3 pieces, so we can switch pieces out for pieces from another figure. So we can have Iron Man's head and arms on War Machine's body, and we can keep changing them around like that. It does have a website you can go to, ironmancard.com. I went there and I got to watch episode of Spider-Man, the original show from what, the 60s or something? So I don't know what that really had to do with Iron Man, but maybe there's more to come, maybe once the movie comes out. I'm not 100% sure. And again, we can, if I'm capable of it, we can put the card in there, and we can put War Machine on the base. Now, I picked this up at a Toys R Us, and I have to tell you, this was the only one I could find. They had racks and racks of Iron Man figures, and the Mach 1, the Mach 2, some Ironmongers, the whole 9 yards. I could only find one of these War Machine figures. I don't know if it's just because the kids stocking Toys R Us only put one out, if it's a rare figure, I don't know. I kind of hope not, because I think everybody should have this one. Very excellent figure. I have to admit, I'm a little bit biased towards War Machine. I've always liked him. I think it's the black costume Spider-Man effect. You take the standard character, who's usually in bright colors, and then you put him in black and silver and gray tones, and they just look that much more badass. So I gotta say, I like this War Machine. If I were to give this one a subjective grade, I'd have to give this figure an A. It's awesome. It's got a decent amount of articulation. The sculpt is awesome. The paint is awesome. As I mentioned with the other Iron Man figure that we looked at in a different review, the paint job on it was kind of touch and go, but there doesn't seem to be any blemishes, problems with this one, which is nice. The gimmicks, the flip-up weapons, well, again, we can just flip them down and out of the way. These extra plastic pieces is a nice effect, and it doesn't detract from the figure at all, because, let's face it, if we don't like them, we can just get rid of them. I don't mind having a stand in this card. You know, it doesn't seem to hurt anything. So again, this figure would get an A. If you see this one, I'd recommend picking it up. If you like War Machine, it's probably one of the best figures in a long time, and he's definitely worth getting. So, I think that's going to end it for this review of War Machine. He's from the comic series of Iron Man 2. As I said, if you see him, he's worth picking up. He's pretty awesome. So thank you and have a good night, and I'll catch you again another time.